What kind of mother sells her own child? It's a question most of us would ask upon hearing a story like this. But before you judge, take a moment to hear the full story. Because once you understand the choices she had to make, your heart will break in ways you never imagined. It began in the delivery room, where the cries of Adaeze's twin boys echoed, signaling new life. But, in a cruel twist of fate, the day that marked the birth of her children also marked the death of her husband, Emeka. He had been on his way to meet them when a car crash ended his life. Adaeze, full of hope, was left alone. Her life, meant to be full of joy and love, was now overshadowed by a nightmare she couldn't escape. She was a widow and a mother, without the support or love she'd hoped for. Her name was Adaeze. She had loved Emeka with all her heart. They had dreamed of building a life together, but now she was left wandering the city streets, clutching her newborn twins, hungry and broken. No family, no shelter, nothing but the weight of grief and survival. Her life became a blur of empty streets, the pity of strangers, and the constant hunger that gnawed at her. Then, one fateful day, everything changed. In a dusty alley, a woman approached Adaeze. She was tall, elegant, dressed in expensive heels and diamonds. Her presence radiated power, wealth, and mystery. "Give me one of them," she whispered, "and I'll make sure you never suffer again." Desperation clouded Adaeze's judgment. The words seemed too good to be true. The woman promised her everything: freedom from her suffering, a new life, a chance at hope. She was offered an escape, but at a terrible cost. The deal was simple: give up one of her children, and her life would change. Adaeze's heart wavered. Which child to choose? She was torn, but the woman's offer seemed impossible to resist. The price of survival was steep, but which one of her sons could she live without? The woman, Henrietta, explained that she would take the quieter of the twins, Chijioke, while leaving Ugochukwu, the other twin, with her. Henrietta promised that they would live in luxury, no more hunger, no more desperation. It was the only chance Adaeze had, or so she thought. That night, Adaeze handed over Chijioke, her sweet boy, to Henrietta. The moment her son was taken from her arms, something inside her broke. The grief was overwhelming, but she had made her choice. Henrietta took Chijioke and promised a new life. Adaeze was left with only Ugochukwu, the son she still had, and a heart that could never heal. Weeks passed. Adaeze's life began to change. Henrietta kept her word, giving her money to start a small business. Adaeze worked hard, and soon she was able to take care of herself and Ugochukwu. The small business grew, and for the first time, Adaeze felt like she could stand on her own feet. But the weight of what she had done never left her. She visited Henrietta's mansion, peering through the gates, hoping to catch a glimpse of Chijioke. But Henrietta always reassured her that Chijioke was well taken care of. Still, the emptiness in Adaeze's heart remained. The guilt of what she had done hung heavy. She had given up one son, but what had become of him? The years passed, and Adaeze's business flourished, but nothing could fill the void of losing her child. Every night she dreamed of her sons, together again, laughing and running, their bond unbroken. But every morning, the reality was there, cold and unforgiving. Then, one day, a phone call changed everything. It was Henrietta. Her voice, usually cold and detached, was now chillingly urgent. "I need to see you. You must come." Adaeze's heart raced as she arrived at Henrietta's mansion. The atmosphere had shifted. It felt darker, colder. Henrietta's once elegant demeanor was gone. Her eyes were empty, and her voice was hollow. She led Adaeze to a room where Chijioke sat. But this wasn't the boy Adaeze remembered. His eyes were dark, and his expression was blank, unreadable. He wasn't her son anymore. Henrietta's voice cut through the silence. He's not your son anymore. He belongs to me. Adaeze's world shattered. Her son, the boy she had given up, had been twisted by forces she didn't understand. Henrietta had bound him with dark magic, and now Chijioke was no longer the child she had held in her arms. He was something else entirely. Desperation filled Adaeze's heart. She tried to run, to grab her son, but the mansion was no longer a place of refuge. It had become a prison for both of them, locked in the curse Henrietta had cast. The weight of her choices became too much to bear. The price she had paid for her survival was far greater than she could ever have imagined. The days that followed were a blur of torment. Adaeze's soul cried out for the son she had lost. Her life seemed to fall apart again, and the guilt of her decision consumed her. But then, one night, a letter arrived. A letter that would offer a sliver of hope. The letter was simple, with no return address. It simply read, "Meet me, midnight, at the old church on Binta Road. I have something you need to know." Adaeze's heart raced. Could this be someone who could undo what she had done? She had to know. She had to find a way to save her son. At midnight, she found herself standing before the old church, its wooden door heavy with neglect. Inside, the flickering light of a candle burned at the altar. She stepped forward, heart in her throat. Then, she saw him, Chijioke. But he wasn't the boy she remembered. He stood tall, distant, and cold. His eyes met hers, but they held no love, no warmth. They were void, calculating. "Chijioke," Adaeze whispered, her voice trembling. "Is it really you?" The boy turned slowly, his lips curling into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mother," he said, his voice flat and cold. "I've come to set you free." Her heart sank. This wasn't her son anymore. "What have they done to you?" she asked, voice breaking. "I'm not your son anymore," Chijioke replied, his voice empty of all emotion. "You sold me, and now I belong to her." Desperation filled Adaeze's chest. She couldn't accept this. "Please, Chijioke. I didn't know what I was doing. I was desperate. Please let me undo it." Chijioke's gaze softened for a moment before hardening again. "You didn't just sell me, Adaeze. You sold both of us. I belong to her now. And so do you." Tears welled up in Adaeze's eyes as she took a step closer. "I loved you. I fought for us to stay together. I was your sacrifice," Chijioke said coldly. "And now, I have a chance to give you something in return." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, gleaming pendant. "This is the key to breaking the curse," he said, his voice mechanical. "But it comes with a price you may not be able to pay." Adaeze's heart raced. "What is it? What price?" "You have to choose," Chijioke said. "If you take this pendant and break the curse, you'll lose everything. Your life, your freedom. You'll never see your son again." Adaeze stared at the pendant, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She had lost so much already. Could she lose everything? Could she live with the guilt of the sacrifice? She thought of Ugachukwu. She thought of her future. With trembling hands, she reached for the pendant. The moment her fingers brushed it, the room grew colder. The air seemed to thicken, and a pull of darkness filled her soul. Chijioke's grin widened, cold and knowing. "You shouldn't have made that choice." The pendant burned against her skin. Adaeze gasped as her life seemed to slip away. The curse had only just begun.